Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Jordan Cameron back with another update video of our thesis of the biggest blow-off top in crypto history, followed by the biggest rug pull in crypto history. And today's video, we're going to talk about do not get distracted, right? Focus on our invalidations, our bullish invalidations, our bearish invalidations, and keep the eye on the prize, okay? Know when to cut and know when to take profits. That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button before you go, and let's jump on into it. So for anyone new to the channel, since the March and April lows, since Trump started talking about the tariffs back in March and April, when total market cap was sitting at $2 trillion, we've been discussing a thesis, basically looking at the total market cap chart being in one giant macro rising wedge formation, which is a bearish pattern, which we'll talk about in just a second. But before that bearish pattern was to break to the downside, we are looking at a move to 10 trillion for total market cap, and a euphoria phase, which sucks everyone, including your uncle, your aunt, and your cousin, and maybe even your dog, into the crypto market. And since that point, we've seen total market cap get about a 2x move, which has been fantastic. You made gains if you bought anything really that during that March and April dip. And we're going to discuss about where we think the market's going to go from here and our invalidations, where we could say that we are wrong if this happens. Okay, it's always important to have invalidations in this market. Okay, but just kind of to look at where we're currently at, right? We still have total market cap still just holding above those December highs, flipping the previous resistance into support, though it's been choppy during this range. The weekly closes have continued to hold above that December 2024 highs. And if you came over here and look at Bitcoin, it's the same thought process. The December 2024 highs continuing to flip into support the same way in every part of this cycle where Bitcoin has made a new move to new highs, right? It flips the previous resistance, right, into new support before breaking to the upside, okay? And then it comes back down, flips the previous consolidation resistance into support before getting the next parabolic move to the upside, right? Before it tops out, it comes back down, flips the previous resistance into support before getting the next parabolic move to the upside. And here we are once again, right, where the sentiment is horrible and Bitcoin is once again retesting, after topping out here, the previous resistance into support. So as we kind of go along here, and we're going to mainly focus a lot on the Bitcoin chart today, because I think that's going to give us a good illustration of where we think the total market cap is going to go. Because obviously, if the Bitcoin chart rises, we are also expecting the total market cap chart to rise as well, with altcoins lagging, because as we know, Bitcoin leads every single start of every single next move in the cycle to the upside. Now, as we kind of go along here, I'm just going to point to the fact that I'm going to start with our bearish invalidation today, right? So our thesis of the biggest blow-off top in crypto history basically stems from the assumption that Bitcoin continues to hold the 50 moving average band as it has in every single part of this cycle, whether it's over here in 2023, whether it's here in 2024, or whether it's over here in 2025, okay? Every single year of the cycle, we've seen Bitcoin hold the 50 moving average band. And as we get this move from 125,000 to about 103,000 here, right, we are seeing Bitcoin approach very, very fast that 50 moving average band. And in my personal opinion, before we get the next move, and if we get the next move to the upside, I do think it's likely that Bitcoin tests this 50 moving average band, even if it's on a wick. Okay, and right now that stems from about 100,000 to about 102,000. Though remember that this moves up every single week as long as price is above, right? We expect the moving average to continue to move up every single week. So in about 1 to 2 weeks, this could be at our 104,000 support. We could just come back down, hit 104,000 support, and then bounce higher. Okay. Our thesis of the biggest blow-off top in crypto history stems from and relies upon Bitcoin breaking, not breaking the 50 moving average band, because in every single cycle, as we know, if we switch this to logarithmic scale, in every single cycle that we've had, whenever Bitcoin has gotten a weekly close below the 50 moving average band, whether it's over here in 2018, whether it's over here in 2021, or whether it's all the way back here in 2014, that has meant that we are going into a more prolonged bear market, where you probably want to be out of crypto as a whole, and you probably don't want to be really holding anything in crypto. So assuming that Bitcoin does hold the 50 moving average band again for the fourth year in a row here, okay, that is my assumption before the next leg higher, okay, that is our bearish invalidation. Whereas if Bitcoin does get a weekly close below the 50 moving average band, we call our thesis off. Thesis is dead. I'm going to declare that I think that Bitcoin is going to a bear market. But as long as Bitcoin continues to hold that, there is no bearish thesis, right? There is no bearish invalidation hit. So as far as me flipping bearish, that is not the time to do it. The time to do it is if, for me, you might be different, is if Bitcoin does break below the 50 moving average band, I'll be the first one to come on here and say I think the bear market is well underway. Okay. Now, to move on to our bullish invalidation, right? Our bullish invalidation has always stemmed from the stablecoin dominance Wyckoff accumulation schematic that we have drawn here. And if our bearish invalidation is not met, which is a weekly close below the 50 moving average band for Bitcoin, then we have to look towards our bullish invalidation. And this is if we believe that the market is going to continue higher, Bitcoin's going to continue higher, and the crypto market as well is going to continue higher, right? And our bullish invalidation is simply if we get stablecoin dominance reach down to 4.91%, right? So our thesis really since March and April has been that we were going to reject from about this close to 9% stablecoin dominance level and slowly move back down to the bottom of the range towards 4.91%, okay? And so far, so good, right? We've seen a move from 8% down to 7%. We have seen a big move to the upside, obviously, on stablecoin dominance, which has caused a pretty decent pullback on total market cap. But as you can see, each one of these has, up to this point, being a higher low from the April higher low, June higher low, and the October higher low. Okay, all stem from basically stablecoin dominance as we speak, still being in a downtrend. Okay, and until we get stablecoin dominance down to 4.91%, a move down on stablecoin dominance would equal a move up on total market cap. And our bullish invalidation for getting out of the crypto market completely is getting close to this 4.91% range where we saw back in 2024 twice, back in March and December, which ended up both being the local tops on the total market cap chart in December 2024 and in March of 2024 before big pullbacks. Okay, and we expect the next major high for total market cap being when this next stablecoin dominance chart hits the 4.91% level, okay? And if you don't know anything about Wyckoff accumulation, this is going to lead to us, now that we've discussed our bullish invalidation and our bearish invalidation for our thesis. If you don't know anything about stablecoin dominance and Wyckoff accumulation, right, this move down on stablecoin dominance would obviously be our move up on total market cap, but then this massive move to the upside on stablecoin dominance would end up being basically the crash that we see from total market cap out of this macro rising wedge, which we know is a bearish pattern. If you know anything about patterns, a rising wedge is a bearish pattern, and we would expect this, right? We're not perma bulls on this channel. We would expect, if we did see this big parabolic blow off top to the 4236 Fibonacci to the top of our rising wedge to the psychological level of 10 trillion, we would eventually see a big crash down out of this rising wedge, probably the biggest crash and the longest crash that we would ever see in crypto, which would basically correspond to this stablecoin dominance chart getting a big spring phase out of here, okay, where basically, obviously if people are moving money into stable coins, okay, they're most likely moving money out of, right, your altcoins or even Bitcoin, okay? So that would be sort of the thesis and the overall blueprint of this being in a Wyckoff accumulation, right? Stablecoin dominance being a Wyckoff accumulation, and ultimately this being in a distribution pattern, right? Total market cap being a distribution, which ultimately ends up into the deepest and longest bear market that crypto has ever seen, okay? So that's sort of the thesis. That's the schematic. That's our bullish invalidation. That's our bearish invalidation. What can we expect next? Okay, we have our invalidations. We have our points where we say we're wrong. We have our points where we say the thesis is played out and we are correct. what sort can we look at to happen next? Well, like I discussed earlier, I do think it's likely that we see Bitcoin tap this 50 moving average band. Now, it doesn't have to be this week. Okay, it doesn't have to get to 100 to 102,000. This could go sideways for another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we can see the weekly moving average band to move up to 104, 105,000 over the next few weeks and ultimately tap it then. But I do think before Bitcoin does go on its next move to the upside, right, where obviously Bitcoin leads and then everything else follows, okay, just like every single rally that we typically see, I do think it's likely that it does tap this 50 moving average band on a wick, or in just maybe even stay there for a few weeks, like in 2025, all right, or even 2024, right, where you basically get that max fear and extreme fear right into the level where you actually should be the most bullish unless it breaks, okay? But my sort of stress here is do not get too bearish into the 50 moving average band, as we discussed. That's where we saw support in 2024, 2025, and 2023. Why I said it in that order, I don't know, but that's where you saw support in all those previous pullbacks. Do not get max bearish right into the level where we've bounced every single year in this bull cycle. The time to get bearish is if you actually do some weakness into that and actually starting to lose that on a weekly close. Wicks are fine. Okay, you're going to see a lot of bear posting if we do get a wick below there, but wait for the weekly close to come in and then make your decision based on what's going to happen if that does happen. But I do think in the short term, it is likely we see Bitcoin hit into this 50 moving average band, whether it's because it goes sideways for a few more weeks or whether you do see a sort of big candle into that 100 to 102 region and sort of get that big fear period out of the way. Okay. And what does that mean for alts? Well, I think if we're sort of looking at our Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoin dominance chart, right, which tells us, are people moving money into Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins, or are people moving money into other assets? Based on this chart, it does look like, right, and, it does look like this wants to come back up and test the 82% level again. So while Bitcoin, right, whether it gets, a sort of 8% move into that weekly moving average band, or whether it goes sideways for another 1, 2, 3 weeks and lets this catch up, I do think that probably means a little bit of weakness on altcoins over the next 1 to 3 weeks before we probably see a sort of rally for altcoins after that period. Now, will it be a quick thing? Will it be a long drawn out bleed? We don't really know yet. Depends on how Bitcoin reacts to the 50 moving average band or how long it takes to get there. But ultimately, as we've discussed many times in this cycle, I do believe it's Bitcoin leads the way, right? And until we see Bitcoin sort of break into a new all-time high, I'm going to expect Bitcoin dominance to kind of rise. And once you get Bitcoin into new all-time highs, I think you're going to see ETH. And after that, the rest of the altcoin market start to move after that is happening. So that's kind of what I see in the short term. I think, once again, I need to see Bitcoin hit that 50 moving average band. And then I probably expect a little bit of altcoin weakness until we get Bitcoin into, right, hitting that 50 moving average band. Okay. So that's kind of my thesis, guys. I mean, nothing's really changed from that standpoint. Everything else is kind of the same, right? Global liquidity continues to rise. Another reason why I expect the crypto market to continue to rise here. Gold, if we take a look at gold over here, gold with its biggest red day in quite a bit. Was that the top on gold? I don't know, but definitely some weakness there as you had all those people piling to buy gold and in lines to buy gold over the course of the last week. Was that the retail top of gold? Was that the retail top of silver? We'll have to see. But ultimately, right, having gold and silver cooled off, and waiting to see how Bitcoin reacts to that 50 moving average band. It's going to be sort of an interesting next couple of really next week to 2 weeks to see how Bitcoin reacts here. But everything else is kind of the same, guys. Thesis remains, right? How we break our thesis, the bounce side is if Bitcoin breaks the 50 moving average band. How we break our thesis to the upside is if stablecoin dominance get back down to the 4.91% region. If neither of those has happened, nothing's really changed in our thesis, and we're just going to continue to look for total market cap to hold the previous all-time highs on weekly closes. and just continue to push higher once this consolidation is over. Okay, I'll be the first one to come on here and say that the thesis is broken if either our bullish or bearish invalidations get hit. But as of now, nothing's really changed, and I'm just going to continue waiting. So catch you guys in the next video. It's been your boy Jordan Cameron. Subscribe if you're new, like the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.